Hi everyone, welcome to CAT with Clarity. Concepts clear, practice smart, score high. I have scored 99.3 percentile in CAT. I have taught at time and I am also an ex-student of Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. In this video, we'll understand percentages from absolute basics in a very simple way. If you find percentages confusing or slow while solving questions, this video will help you build a strong foundation. Let's start with the most basic question. What is percent? Well, percentage is nothing but out of 100. So anything out of 100 is the percentage. So let's say 50 out of 100 is 50%. 25 out of 100 is 25%. So 50%, 50 out of 100 is nothing but 0.5. 25% is nothing but 0.25. Now moving on. What is the basic formula of percentage? Percentage is value divided by total value into 100. For example, let me ask you, what is 40? 40 is what percentage of 80? So now the my value is 40, total value is 80. So percentage will be nothing but 40 divided by 80 into 100. That is 50%. Now in CAT, we always have to do things quickly. So we should remember these important conversions of percentages into fractions. So 50% is nothing but 1 by 2, 25% is nothing but 1 by 4, 20% is 1 by 5, 10% is 1 by 10, 12.5% is 1 by 8. Now we'll move on to some questions. So what is 20% of 150? So 20% of 150. So how do we calculate it? 20% is nothing but 20 divided by 100 into 150. So 20% is what? 20 is out of 100. So that is 20 by 100. And 20% of 150 is 20 by 100 divided by 50. So 20 and 100 gets cancelled. We are left with 5. And 150 divided by 50 is how much? Nothing but 30. So 20% of 150 is how much? 30. So it's a very easy question. So let's move on to our next question. So our next question is, a student scored 45 out of 60. Find the percent. So I told you what is the formula for percentage? Value divided by total value into 100. So a person has scored 45 out of 60. So 45 out of 60, we have to calculate the percentage. So value is how much? 45 divided by total value, which is nothing but 60, and then this multiplied by 100. We learned this formula, right? We learned this formula that what is percentage? Percentage is nothing but value divided by total value into 100. So he scored 45 out of 60. So 45 is the value, 60 is the total value, and multiplied by 100. So here 45 and 60 get cancelled. So 3 by 4, and now 400. So 25. So 25 into 3 is nothing but 75. So how much is 45? Is how much percentage of 60? Nothing but 75%. Correct. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Now these are the basic questions which I'm just explaining it to you so that you can understand the concepts, the formula that we learned, or the basics of percentage. So what is the next question? A price of a product increases from 100 to 120. Find percentage increase. Okay. So price is increasing from 100 to 120. So what is the increase? If price increases from 120 to 100, what is the increase? Nothing but 120 minus 100. What? How much is that? 20, correct? So price increases from 100 to 120. So increase is nothing but 20, 120 minus 20. And what is the increase percentage? So what is our formula for percentage? Value, which is nothing but 20 here, and that divided by total value, which is nothing but 100 here, because our value increased from 100. So original value was 100 and multiplied by 100. So this 200s will get cancelled and we'll be left with what? 20%. So if a value increases from 100 to 120, what is the percentage increase? Nothing but 100. And always remember, whenever 100 increases by any value or decreases by any value, we can directly say that that value is the percentage. We did not calculate all this. Okay, but this is the exact calculation. But remember this, whenever 100 is increased by some value or decreased by some value, that value is equal to the percentage. So now what we'll do is we'll discuss some question from previous year CAT. Okay, these are very basic questions which came in previous year CAT. We are not discussing the tough ones now. We'll discuss it in some other video. For now, we'll discuss some easy questions based on percentages which appeared in CAT. So this is one of the question. A number is increased by 25%. What is the new value if the original number is 240? Okay, so original number is how much? 240. It is increased by 25%. So what is the new value? Okay, so we'll do this. What is our original number? Original number is, let's say, O. This is nothing but 240. And this has been increased by 25%, right? So increase percentage is how much? 25. Okay. So they are asking us the new value. Okay, so from increase percentage, we can always calculate the increase, right? So what will be the increase value? 25% of 240. So that is how much? 25 divided by 100 multiplied by 240. Correct. So this 25 and 100 we can cancel out. We are left with 4, and then 4 cancels 240, and we are left with nothing but 60. So increase is how much? 60. Original value was how much? 240. So what will be the final value? 240 plus 60, which is nothing but equal to 300. So if 240 is increased by 25%, it increases by a value of 60, and the new value becomes 240 plus 60, which is 300. Very easy. Okay. So now let's move on to the next question. So the next question. A number is increased by 20% and then decreased by 20%. What is the net percentage change? A number is increased by 20% and then decreased by 20%. What is the net percent change? Okay, so how will we approach this question? So in these questions, when there is no original value given, the easiest way to do is we assume an initial value of 100 and we calculate on that. Okay, so they are saying that, let's say initial value I assume as 100, just so that my calculations are simple. So always remember, when nothing is given, we can take the initial value to be 100, which makes our calculations very. Now it has been increased by what percent? 20%. So I told you, whenever 100 is increased or decreased by some percentage or some by number, the percentage and number is the same. So so if 100 is increased by 20%, what will be my new number? Nothing but 100 plus 20, because I've told you 20% of 100, if you calculate, it comes out to be 20. So 100 plus 20, 120. Now it has been decreased by 20%. What? 120. The new number that we got, that has been decreased by 20%. So decrease percentage is 20. Now this time we can directly not subtract 20 from 120 and say that the new value is 100. This time we have to calculate. Only when the increase or decrease is from 100, we directly say that the number and the percentage is the same. So how much will be the decrease? 20% of 120. So decrease is 20% of 120, which is nothing but 20 divided by 100 into 120. So 20 and 100 we cancel, we get 5, and 20, 120 we cancel by 5. How much do we get? 24. So now 120 is decreased by 24. So what will be our new number become? I do 120 minus 24, which is nothing but equal to 96. Now our original value was 100 and it has decreased to 96. So what will be the net percentage decrease or net percentage increase? Net percentage change is nothing but 100 to 96. I told you whenever a number is increased or decreased from 100, the percentage is same as the number itself. So a decrease by 100 minus 96, which is 4. So it is decreased by 4%. So the net percentage decrease is 4%. So net percentage change is 4%. A number was increased by 20%, then it has been decreased by 20%. What is the net change? So net change is nothing but 4% decrease. Now I'll give you an important concept. Now I'll give you an important concept this time. We just solved this question, and based on this question I'll give you an important concept, important formula. Let's say a number is increased by p percentage. So first a number is increased by p percentage. First it is increased by p percentage and then it is decreased by p percentage again. So what is the net change in the number? So net change in the number will always be equal to p square divided by 100%. So in our previous question, if you remember, a number was increased by 20% and then decreased by 20%. So they asked the net change. So let's apply that formula, that question and this formula. So p is 20 here. So p square by 100 is how much? 20 multiplied by 20 divided by 100, which is nothing but 400 divided by 100, which is nothing but 4, which we got from our calculation in the last question. So this is a direct, a very fast way to do those problems. So whenever I increase by p percentage, decrease by p percent, the net change will be p square by 100%. Okay. So now let's move on to the last question of this video. The price of a product is increased by 25%. By what percentage should it be decreased to bring it back to the original price? Okay. So price is increased by 25%. So let's say again in these questions when nothing is given, we assume the initial to be 100. So initial value let's say is 100. Now, now it is increased by 25%. So increase percentage is 25. So I told you whenever 100 is increased by some percentage, we simply add that percentage. We need not calculate anything. So our new number becomes 125. Correct. Now they are asking by how much should we decrease it so that it becomes the original number. So I is 100, I1 is 125. So obviously we need to decrease it by how much? 125 minus 100, which is nothing but equal to 25. Now we need to find the percentage. So decrease percentage will be how much? Decrease percentage value, which is 25, divided by total value, which is 125, because it is decreasing from 125. So total value is 125 and not 100. Remember this. Multiplied by 100. So 25, 125 get cancelled. So we are left with 5 and 500. So we are left with how much? 20. So we need to decrease it by a percentage of 20. Very simple. So initial number was 100. We increased it by 25%. So it became 125. Now to bring it back to the original value, we need to decrease it by 25. So what will be the decrease percentage? 25 divided by 125 into 100. So these last three questions were the questions from previous year CAT. So you can see that in CAT also they ask very basic questions sometimes. Sometimes difficult ones are there, but if you understand these basic ones, you can always do the tough ones. Now, a quick tip, convert percentages to fractions for faster calculations. So I told you 10% equal to 1 by 10, 12.5% equal to 1 by 8, 50% 1 by 2, 25% 1 by 4. So these calculations you should always keep in the back of your head so that you can make your calculations fast. So if you like the video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to Cat with Clarity for Quant DI and Ella. Thank you.